Hello, fellow paint wranglers. Gina DeLuca here. So, today we will be doing another experiment. I have not been having the best luck getting those big cells when mixing brands of paint. So I've been doing the Liquitex Basics mixed with Artist Loft, just trying to get an idea of, if these will work together or not. There may just be such a difference in quality that mixing the brands isn't going to work. I have been able to get those cells without silicone when using just Artist Loft and just Liquitex, but so far I haven't gotten those big, juicy, amazing cells with the mix of the two. I'm going to give it one more shot. Worst case scenario, I will wind up with another background pour. I need those, so I will not be disappointed. I have mixed colors together today. So my base coat will be this, and that is a mix of Artist Loft Gold and White Flow Acrylic. The gold by itself as a base coat I think is just too thick. I think the metallics in it just keep it from being spreading quite as easily as the white, but I do like that shimmery effect, and I feel like the gold tones down the white just in case we get some accidental cells popping up from the base coat. For the blue, I have Liquitex Basics Phthalo Blue, that is an opaque. This lighter blue is a mix of Artist Loft Turquoise and Basics Bright Aqua Green. I have Artist Loft Copper. I love this color. It's a beautiful color. And for the gold here, I have the Artist Loft Old Gold, which is a really, really pretty gold. And I actually did wind up putting a touch of copper into that gold because I know that the copper does react. It has on another painting. So just trying to up the chances of that selling up. And this cup is dripping already. I gotta get rid of that. Be right back. If you have this kind of cup with this black handle, water gets trapped in there and it drips on your painting when you're pouring. You don't want that. All right, a tip on mixing metallics. Sometimes when you mix metallics, it can get lumpy. So what I do is I put a little bit of Floetrol or whatever your pouring medium is going to be in the bottom of the cup, and then put your paint in and mix it, and add a little more pouring medium and mix it. If you mix it in a little at a time, it won't get so lumpy. Because and if you do wind up getting a paint that gets lumpy like that, if you let it sit for a couple of hours, it will even out in consistency. So it is not an absolute loss, although it does look like an ugly mess when it happens. Okay, my blue thickened up a hair, so I'm going to add to it my mix of Floetrol and paint. It is 90% water, I'm sorry, not Floetrol and paint, Floetrol and water. 90% water and 10% Floetrol. I just find it helps it blend quicker with the paint and hopefully makes you slightly less likely to over thin it. All right, that looks like a better consistency. So I'm going to start with my blue on the bottom. This is an 18 by 24 canvas, which would normally need about 15 to 16 ounces of paint, but because I'm putting down a base coat, as far as the dirty pour amount, I can go less. So 12 ounces is plenty when you have a base coat. Enough to cover and be able to dump off a little bit if you need to tweak your composition. The paints are mixed with, it's 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol, and the water and Floetrol mixture is added to get the proper consistency. Oh, that looks a little thick. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. Once you've done it enough, when it's pouring, you can see if the viscosity is different than the last paint as it's coming out. And sometimes when they're sitting, they thicken up a bit. Okay, that's better. Oh. What in the world? I don't know why it's coming out like that. Very strange. Very strange indeed. Dripped on the canvas, not going to worry about it. It's going to get covered up. And I will add the copper. Was kind of hoping that would sink. Surprised it didn't. And the gold. The gold is sinking. Okay, let's lay down our base coat. A base coat really helps your paint to slide around on the canvas and makes it easier to control your composition. But also, if you are using silicone, which we are not today, but I will not do a painting with silicone without laying down a base coat, because that's when you wind up with those bald spots on your canvas, and you get those pits that go straight down to the canvas because the silicone hits your canvas first and then resists the paint. But if you have a base coat, you already have paint. So when thinking about what color base coat to use, you want to keep in mind, just in case you wind up with a pour that you don't want to stretch because you got some kind of amazing cell formation, you want there to be a color there that you can use for negative space. Now, say for instance, you use white and the way the colors blended, you think this would look so much better with black, you can go in and change it. I did that in video 15, I think. So the beauty of this art form is that it's fluid, literally and figuratively. If you don't like it, you can change it, you can tilt it. If you still don't like it, you can swipe it. If a pour is not spectacular enough to stand on its own, you can embellish it. Paint over top of it with a brush. You know, it's good to go in with an idea of what you want. And as soon as you pour that cup, let it go. Let go of that idea and work with what you've got. And that is how you will wind up with the best pieces. Yeah, see this base coat, the gold mixed with the white, is going on so much more smoothly than the gold by itself. And it has just a little bit of shimmer to it. So if it wound up becoming a negative space, it's very pretty, very delicate. All right, let's see what happens. Unfortunately, my metallics are sitting on top, which means that they will wind up on the outside of the ring, and that is not what I was going for. All right, I'm gonna pop any bubbles that might be chilling out in the air. Oh, I'm loving this. This is so cool. I hope I don't lose that when it stretches. But we have to stretch because that's a lot of paint. I just need to think about my composition before I tilt. Pouring from up that high creates a lot of bubbles. And you want to make sure that you pop those bubbles so you don't get pitting. Something has happened in my house. This island that I work on is no longer level. I know because all my paints run that way. And the drawers that are on that side seem to open by themselves. They won't stay closed. So something happened, the house settled. I've had a couple of paintings get ruined. But I will be putting some popsicle sticks under that to try to fix it. And it's not off by much because I use my level and I can't really see it. edges off by a hair, but that is enough. As always, bring your weight back to center. Do my best to keep that Fibonacci structure. I do love that sew. Same time, some of this paint does need to come off. Don't want to keep it too thick and have it crack on you. Decisions, decisions. I would love to stretch this out, bring this down. I should have gone this way first. Just move it around a little bit. Slowly. don't know how I feel about these corners as negative. Let's see. I think that came out kind of cool. Next time, I'm going to go for when there's a side with the cells that I like, I will catch that side first and stretch that and see what happens. But all of this lacing is really pretty. I'll grab you for a close-up. Okay, so look at these cells. They look so 3D. And that copper and the blue there, I love that. I may just have to try painting with nothing but copper and blue. Those colors look amazing. All that lacing. I did love the way that looked before I stretched it. It looks cool now, but it did have a very cool effect before. And I don't know if you can see the shimmer, not so much in the base coat. Well, there she is. I don't know what this looks like, but it's cool. Okay, so here's the piece, mostly dried. There is still a small wet spot there. I am having issues with my paintings being level, so the cells up top stretched out a bit, unfortunately. This whole island that I pour on seems to have shifted. What I find interesting about this painting is in this aqua color, the copper has laced, but in the phthalo blue, it formed these cells, which I think look very cool. I don't think this camera is quite doing it justice how 3D they look. And I think they'll probably look even better once they're varnished. They always pop more. One of the things that I love about the cells without silicone technique is that the cells that you get do wind up with a very 3D effect. Just something to do with the way the colors blend. All right, so there it is. That's it for me. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And go make some art.